From San Jose State University, you're watching Equal Time, exploring new issues each week, giving equal time to competing points of view.
From the campus of San Jose State University, welcome to another special edition of Equal Time, a continuation of our discussion about higher education we started last time. Once again, let's meet our guests.
Hi, John Hendrickson, Chancellor, West Valley Mission Community College District, West Valley College in Saratoga, Mission College in the city of Santa Clara.
Hello, I'm Mo Qayoumi, President of San Jose State University.
Hello, Vanessa Zuniga, a student at San Jose State University.
Hi, I'm Steve Kinsella, Superintendent President, Gavilan College in Gilroy, California.
Hi, I'm Liz Cara. I'm a professor of occupational therapy here at San Jose State, and I'm also the chapter president of the California Faculty Association here.
Let's pick up that discussion we started last week.
I think it's sad when you have to start thinking that the dream is dead, right?
Yes.
You know, the American dream, and we shouldn't be thinking that. But it's pretty tough not to think that, seeing what's happening with the CSU and the community college system.
Yeah, just elaborating on what Stephen Les talked about. You know, first of all, just an example of San Jose State. You know, if you look at the number of our students being first-generation college graduates for all CSUs and community colleges, and many first-generation immigrants, the number of students that San Jose State educates that are in the lower economic quartile is more than all of the 10 Ivy League universities in the East Coast combined. Wow. And I can say that one for many of the other large CSUs. So I think we truly are that gateway to the middle class. We truly are the engine that put people on the way to the American dream. The other aspect is that I don't think anybody in the state would disagree that our youth is our most valuable asset. And if we all believe that they are our most valuable asset, don't we have a responsibility for stewardship of that asset, for investing on that asset? That basically, I think, to me, is that moral, ethical obligation, in addition to investing in our own future. That, to me, is the most important element, that if we all believe that our youth is our most valuable asset, shouldn't we be investing in this youth? And what will be the most valuable way to invest in that is through higher education, giving them the opportunity.
I suspect everyone out there listening to this is saying, this makes sense. I think this is exactly right. But John, I'm going to ask you to answer, or at least give me a thought on this. Do we understand what they're up against? That they're trying to make ends meet. They're trying to get their kids into college. They sometimes sense that we are putting out the wrong message. Is there a perception here that our image is not exactly what
you're speaking of the general public, the taxpayer,
exactly,
the person that's the person who's trying to make ends meet. The price of gas alone is keeping people from having other necessities in their life. How are they possibly going to look at providing the taxes necessary for higher education? It's a real big question. It certainly is an issue. The state of California economy is so huge, number 5 in the world if it's its own economy. In my opinion, it isn't a fiscal problem, it's a question of will. We have the resources. It would take a fraction of a penny statewide in this churning economy to produce the funds necessary to assure that we have a positive future, because education won't be suffering. We just need to, as Liz had pointed out, understand that those dollars will be spent smartly and wisely at your colleges to assure that the individual dream and the dream of a continuing state of California that the world can be proud of isn't going to be halted at this time. We do have the resources. I've been doing telephoning. By the time this airs, our bond measure would have already been a ballot measure passed. However, in calling at night, a lot of people say, Bob, as you just said, my taxes are high. But after they hear about what our needs are and how those funds would be applied to improve students and our ability to serve the economy, they say, yes, I will vote for your bond measure. It's just taking the time to talk.
That speaks to Liz's point.
Yeah, I want to actually add to it, because the governor's initiative, which will be on the ballot in November, it's targeting those who make the most money in our state. It's not targeting the middle class of our state, because it's actually it's asked to raise the tax rate 3% on those who make more than $500,000 a year, and 2% on those who make between $300,000 and $500,000 a year. And it's a 0.25% raise in the sales tax. So I actually think it's a measure that doesn't harm most of us in California, actually.
You know, as a faculty person, I think we both wonder if the public understands that we search for top quality people to teach at all of these institutions of higher education, and we have to keep them here. In order to do that, they're going to ask from time to time for an increase in salary, and you're leading the charge right now to see if we can get one at CSU, San Jose State.
Yeah, it's a minimum, it's a 1.5% increase in salary, and we haven't, of course, you know, we're still negotiating a contract. We've been negotiating for 22 months, 22 long months. And finally, after 95% of us voted to authorize a strike, then the Chancellor has come back to the bargaining table, so we'll see if there could be some compromise. But it's been a hard time, yeah, for all of us as well as
I've actually had people say to me, you know, we're glad that you're great faculty, you have wonderful careers, but don't you understand the economic crisis of this state? Is it fair to ask Mo for a 1% increase? Is it fair to ask her at this time, can you wait a little longer?
No, the state, just the state workers, they get a salary step increase. That's an automatic salary step increase, which they have gotten in these times. So we haven't even gotten that. So, and I think we have waited long, actually, and like I said, we're pretty much, the workload has increased tremendously, and everyone I know is dedicated and working quite hard to still assure that students are, you know, educated, and in addition to being the engines, you know, that run the state of California, we're also concerned about critical thinking skills and citizenship. So, so we've been working very hard to make sure that still occurs.
Very good.
So,
I worry about the media. Since I represent the media, I'm going to put it out there. I think sometimes we, the media, focus on the negative. And one of the negatives I noticed during the springtime was how they were portraying in the media that students, all they have to do in high school and community college is just get a C average and you're automatically admitted into San Jose State. That's the perception that the public has, and it's wrong now that they're making changes. I've never said at a university, I don't think you probably ever said C is good enough. And I always tell my students, how many of you think an employer would hire someone with a C average? It doesn't work that way. So where are they getting that from? Where are students getting that from? What do you think, Steve?
I think it's another one of these sea tales that happens from time to time where it's just an urban myth that everybody believes is correct. I can just coast along, won't have to put the effort into it, kind of take a free ride until I get to the next level. And then I'll buckle down and work. I don't need these general education skills because my focus is communication. So what do I need to know? History, art, other social sciences. It's all part of developing a well-rounded person.
Which is what you need in
every
aspect of life.
Right.
Exactly.
And from there, we then develop specialized skills.
And I'm amazed at the number of students who don't keep up with current events. And they're going to go knock on the door for a job interview or for an internship, and they're going to be asked questions about their specialty, but then they're going to say, how is the world developments affecting our business and how would you help us? And John, do we do a good job of giving them preparation for current events knowledge?
Yeah, no, that obviously is an issue, just being civically informed and able to participate. When I said kind of jokingly, students don't do optional, that goes for high school students also. Getting past the exit exam doesn't mean that you're prepared to do college level work. And in high schools, we need to assure that students understand what it means to graduate with the skills to do college level work. The statewide system is embarked again, because this has happened more than once, on a means to get that message across to students. I worked 16 years in K-12 education. I have a feel for what's happening. And talk about staffing shortages and the inability to meet expectations. We need counselors at middle schools and high schools that are working with families who don't understand what I just said and are working with their students. So when they become a freshman in high school, they're on track to achievement instead of finding out too late that they weren't on the track at all. And there's a saying that you can be on the right track, but if you're not moving, you'll still get run over.
Exactly.
And I think, you know, but that part of what John was talking about, that college education has to be transformative. It basically makes sure that you can be a good citizen, you should be a very productive citizen. We need an individual who will have good communication skills, critical thinking skills, can work in a team, be part of a group that they can work collaboratively, have strong global perspective, have a strong civic compass, and understand, strong ethics. So as part of that one, they need these skills to be successful, in addition to the particular technical area. And the other aspect is that I think college education is for anyone to develop that discipline of learning to learn. Because when you look at current students, by the time when they graduate, by the time they are 41 years old, they would have gone through 10 job changes. So college is really giving them that discipline of learning, the lifelong learning. And then coming in, so that's why striving for excellence is the mere essence of college education. And when talked about great scene, when you talk about at San Jose State with the Spartan Pride, when we have an engineering school where our engineering program is ranked 12 nationally, our software engineering or our manufacturing engineering is ranked 5th nationally, our business college having one of the highest percentage of students finishing their CPAs. Our journalism program is well known in the whole region. Our music, our art program, animation, gaming, so on, social work, so on, are so well known. That can only be achieved through excellence. That can be achieved through striving for excellence. And that's one of the things that we are so proud of our faculty, that really tries to drive students for that excellence. That is so far away from that C average. That's which might be the perception of some people.
One of the things
I have to chime in just because
sure,
I'm in occupational therapy, and our program actually is ranked 12th nationally, and that's up against Columbia, USC, some really well-known schools, so we're doing well.
And I'm amazed, in advertising, public relations, and journalism, our student internships are in great demand, and we always, no offense to the local schools, we always beat them out. In fact, employers call me all the time and say, we start with your students, do you have anybody? Then we'll talk to the other institutions. That tells you we're doing something right. That makes you feel good, I would imagine.
It does make me feel good. I mean, of course I want to, wave the flag when we have those kind of stats behind us. Why not? So certainly.
But getting out that vote in favor of this initiative is going to be a challenge. And I think one of the things we might want to do is start more of a public campaign about branding really what we're doing. What are we accomplishing that these people will be asked to pay a little bit more because it's worth it?
Well, I think, how many people would like to invest in an investment that has a return of 4 to 1 or basically 5 to 1?
That's right.
There has been many studies that shows that investing in public higher education in California has had a return of 5 to 1 for our citizens. I think that part is not really that. Our higher education system is a jewel of the state, and that has been such a part of the prime mover of the economic engine for our state. Mm-hmm. And this is, especially at this particular time, it's so important that we invest in it, because this is, we depend on for our future for this engine. And that basically, I think that part of the story really needs to be told over and over. Absolutely. Because this is a very critical time, because any more cuts could get us to a point that we will not be able to jump back. And that really is the point that we would like to make.
Absolutely. Silicon Valley's out there watching us as well, and we have to let them know that we're the future for you, and that we invite you to come and be a part of this process. And actually to get closer in terms of partnerships and abilities. I think sometimes the business community doesn't see us as being very welcoming, and yet that's not true. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I do agree. And I think probably one of the easiest ways for businesses to connect with a community college is with internships, to offer students opportunities within their business so they have an opportunity to see what they would find in a workplace, as well as exposing those students to the worker, or the employer, excuse me. We have a lot of career technical programs. Some of our largest ones include nursing and law enforcement. In the nursing program, it's a tremendously difficult course program to get through. Yet when they come through that program, they're registered nurses, and they are quite literally making life and death decisions. After 2 years of instruction and a certain amount of experience on the job, of course, employers have an opportunity to retain local employees simply by going to the community college at the end of graduation and see who's walking through the graduation lines. That is where I think they should be doing their recruiting.
Absolutely.
I'd like to add that at our colleges, we understand that perception is a reality, and assuring that we have managed our resources well, we gain public trust, and it comes back in multiple folds. And we really need to keep that in mind and work hard. West Valley College, the night we're airing this show, is having its second graduating class from a nonprofit that has established an entrepreneurial academy. And that's an example of something that's an add-on that the community came to us and said, we want to partner on top of our career courses. Santa Clara Chamber of Commerce has named their Business Partner of the Year Mission College. We are a part of our community, and we are dedicated to assure that businesses in our area will prosper because our colleges are very good, and we are educating and graduating students that can get right into that workforce and make this economy even bigger and stronger than it is today, and it's being recognized.
You have the national initiative?
Well, San Jose State has had a very good relationship with many of our industry partners in the Silicon Valley. The first day that I started on July 1 last year, I sent that day 230 letters to the Silicon Valley leaders and asking them to partner with San Jose State University. And I mean, if I just talk about the last couple of weeks, we've had several CEOs and senior VPs of money corporations coming to San Jose State. We had, of course, Secretary Janet Napolitano coming to San Jose State from Department of Homeland Security and looking at cybersecurity. Our relationship with NASA, for instance, has been great. We just received the largest grant ever given to a university. I think it was $73 million working with NASA. So we have a good number of relationship with the Silicon Valley. I'm serving as a board member for the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, as well as Silicon Valley Venture, Bay Area Council Institute. So I think we have a great relationship with the industry. And what we ask for the industry leaders, especially, as they have the discussions with the public officials and public leaders, to tell them about right now and convince them that right now is the time that public officials really look at investment in public higher education in California, because this is the time that is of most important. And I think this is basically what I would like to urge from each and every one of them who are really watching this show.
And I would also add to that you know, we've evolved in time. When we were in college, students were activists, people were speaking out and protesting and all of that. We're in a different era now, but there's nothing stopping parents and people out there in the public to contact their local businesses or the people that they work with and their companies and say, San Jose State and the community colleges in our area, they're doing some great things. Support them, help them, and we'll help them. Because the vote is great, sure, but it really does fall on the need of the community and the business community to step up and help in many ways, not just in internships.
And they are. I think people are justly proud of San Jose State University and the system of community colleges and the network we've established for a variety of purposes, leading to a variety of career and educational paths. Things are working. Right. What we're saying is that we can't continue to try to make it work stretching as we are today. We need to get some resources back into the systems.
Right. Yes. And one of the things we want to do is create global citizens. Yes. To look at the concept of not just getting a job in the Silicon Valley and staying close to home, but being able to connect using new technologies, using travel and opportunities. I know our school took 32 people as an interdisciplinary effort to Cuba, came back with an incredible program, have attracted the interests of people all across the nation, because we feel students learn by doing, by going and connecting. And I think that's something that students would like to hear more about. I
completely agree with that. It's a global economy. We're competing not just with the city, the state, the nation. We're competing with the entire world nowadays. I actually work for the UK government, and I'm in Silicon Valley. So, you know, that just proves to you that this is a global community. And, you know, students do need the opportunity to go out into the world, travel. I had the opportunity in high school to go to Europe, and it was, you know, courses and, you know, raising money and that kind of thing. And that opened my eyes to, you know, at that young age, I was at, you know, 9th grade or so, to go, you know what, I want to go into international business. And I'm here now. I'm in international business, and I don't think it would have happened if I hadn't gone to that trip to Europe from the high school level, and then trickled into the college level where I started traveling and getting the opportunities by way of courses like they offer here in the media department to go out and do things like go to Cuba and see how the world is over there. Because even though we're all in different places of the country or different places of the world, there are those things that are very similar, like education. Everybody wants education. Everybody wants a good job. Everybody wants health, a good health. So you can see how those things connecting and bring it back to your community and be able to flourish. So
it can be a challenging time, but it's not completely frustrating.
no.
There are a lot of good things going on.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think if you look at potential markets of any industry, 95% is outside the U.S. because we are only less than 5% of the world population. So global perspective is very important. Global savviness should be a requirement for every college student by the time they graduate. And especially now with the technologies that are available, so much of the work could get done, so much of the interactions and transactions could get done without anybody moving from their, from their office. And that basically is why I think we want to make sure that our current students, as they go through college, they really develop that global, not only global savviness, but that technological fluency. Technological fluency is a requirement for success for any person, regardless of what major they graduate. And that's why at San Jose State we're putting a lot of effort in that, in making sure that we have, with some of our initiatives right now, in impacting our IT infrastructure, so students will have all of their lectures captured, so they will have that available for them to review, but as well as using those technologies, help them out be as effective and successful when they graduate.
And we're being encouraged on campuses, all campuses, to use technology in different ways, innovative ways, creative ways. You're looking at a program right now that's being done in a virtual studio that was designed by a student. These are the sort of things that new technologies enable us to do and prepare our students for the future. But it's a challenge to faculty, isn't it?
I'm hesitating to say it is, only because I think it's a challenge to faculty if we don't have the support that we need to learn the new technologies. And so I think most faculty, like new technology and would like to learn new technology, but we also need support to learn it. I mean, we've had most of us do hybrid online and on-campus classes, or I've taught in an online program. And I mean, I've used, I think, 4 different platforms in the last 5 years. And most of the support that we've been given is maybe an hour where you're in a training with 30 people, and here's how you do it. Okay, now go out and do it. Mm-hmm. So I think that, yes, we'd all like to use technology, but we need some support, just as the students do, to use technology and to use it wisely.
And it takes time to come up to speed in that. Yeah. The other point, before we run out of time, I want to talk about our alumni. We have graduates. You mentioned a figure in your inauguration, 2.6 million?
2.6, yeah, roughly 2.6 million.
That's amazing for the amount of time. And our alumni are tremendous in supporting us. Yes. And we reach out to them all the time, and they offer not only advice, they come into campus, they talk to students. When they're able to provide technology support. Sometimes they're able to even offer funding support. I assume your alumni are the same way. They try to help out as best they can?
Well, we work very hard at staying in touch with our alumni. Honestly, people, when they determine where I got my degree, think of their 4-year school, not their 2-year school. However, our alumni network is growing as we speak, and technology is useful for establishing a reason to network and stay together. And as our local foundations that support colleges through gift giving through individuals is growing, we're finding it's those people who said, I went to West Valley College. My niece is at Mission College. I really want to be there to help. And those folks are coming back to assist. But we do have an issue of creating that identification with the alumni base because of the nature of who we are.
Exactly. Steve, did you want to add to that?
Same problem with us, or same issue. The students do go on to, in many cases, a 4-year degree program. And that's the college or university that they generally associate with from an alumni viewpoint. If they're in our local area, then we have a good chance of seeing them quite frequently. But once they're out of the area, we seem to have less and less contact.
And I'm a former Spartan, and I get a lot of mail from the Alumni Association.
I think part of what we need to get, because sometimes we see that in San Jose State also, that we may have a student who could start at Ocean Valley or any of our other community colleges, come to San Jose State, move on and get their terminal degree at Stanford or Berkeley or USC. I think they should be, and they are proud of all of the 3 institutions that they've been part of, not only the place that they got their final degree. And this is something that I think we all need to work together and try to, and I think I'm glad to see that we see a change, that many of those students realize that it was all of the effort of all of the different groups and all of the different institutions that had made the person the successful individual that they are today.
Exactly. Some of our alumni have owned businesses for many years or lead organizations. Most recently, I met with a graduate of 1975 who's now a publisher of a newspaper here in California. Yeah. And he was saying that his workforce is being taxed because newspapers are challenged. They're not going out of business, but they're challenged. Correct. And they need new blood, new energy, new technology ideas, new approaches. And they can train their current staff, but they don't learn as quickly or they don't adapt as quickly as what their needs are. So they come to San Jose State, they come to our community colleges looking for some answers, possibly to help their current staff. So there's many ways that the public can help, including voting in November. Final thoughts before we move along. I'd like to ask you all, since you're the power brokers that I talked about at the beginning, what's it like being in your job? You're our brand new president. You're the 28th president of this university. We're glad to have you here, but I wouldn't want your job. It's pretty tough.
Well, I think it's it's also a very exciting job, and if you look at anywhere in the world, the way that I frame it is that if you look at the last 50 years, the kind of impact that Silicon Valley has had globally, it has been tremendous. It has impacted the quality of life across the globe. And being in a university that's in the capital of Silicon Valley, that has really provided such a tremendous number of the graduates for the Silicon Valley in powering Silicon Valley, where else could be most exciting and then most rewarding from that point of view? I think certainly we have challenges, but the strength of every organization is most realized at the time of challenges and at time of adversity. And I think, again, what gives me hope is having a very dedicated staff, excellent faculty, and very engaged student body, and being in an environment where we have such a great relationship with City of San Jose, a city-university relationship that is really a role model, and being part of Silicon Valley with the kind of vibrancy that it has. What else could be so exciting? So I think it's that kind of energy.
Absolutely. I want to thank all of our guests for being here today. This is the sort of thing that television needs to do more. Take time and think about what's going on and talk about these issues. We thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll come back for another edition of Equal Time.